Both been very critical about many of Boris Johnson's lockdown policies, and that's why I find it hilarious when people try to say, oh, I'm just in the tank for Boris. Yeah. No, I will absolutely criticise the Prime Minister when it is necessary to do so, as I should. But, Calvin, you must concede it's very odd that this establishment campaign and that this media campaign is happening now. Why now? Because they knew about these parties.
And so consistently. This is the thing. I know it's my job to care, but I'm so bored of Partygate right now. Mainstream media are using it over and over and over. There's clearly an agenda here to get Boris out, to undermine democracy. That's not how our country works. But more importantly, I'm not saying it's not an issue. Of course it's an issue. We need to address these concerns. But more importantly, who is leaking this information? Why so consistently? And why so coordinated? That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, because when you think about this police investigation, they initially said they weren't going to investigate. And it feels like it's been the drumbeat of constant coverage from the mainstream media, especially the BBC, that essentially felt like it forced Cressida Dick's hand.
And now we're hearing that this investigation might take up to a year. So we're going to have constant bashing every day of the BBC, Sky, Channel 4, all talking about how bad Boris Johnson is and his parties. There are serious issues that need to be addressed regarding the lockdowns and how people were isolated and the hypocrisy around it. Absolutely. But that's not all that's going on in the country right now. There are far more important issues.
But Dawn Neeson, you actually think this cake is not just about a cake. For you,
of course
it's symbolic of something much bigger.
Of course it's not just about a cake. Look, I don't give a stuff whether he had a birthday cake or a party. What I do care about is the utter hypocrisy. The rules he set in place were forcing people dying on their own without their loved ones holding their hands. They were forcing women to give birth. They were forcing children to be locked up at the hands of their abusers. Little Arthur, one name. There are thousands more coming our way. It's about all of them people, Dan. They care. I care. I care about the hypocrisy, about the way these people, it's like, do as we say, not as we do. It's not just about a cake.
Dawn, I get that. And you know I've campaigned against these lockdown laws for that reason.
Me from day one too.
I know, but do you not get a little bit concerned when you see someone like Piers Morgan tweeting the reason that Boris Johnson should go is that he will no longer have the authority to implement another lockdown or more restrictions if they become necessary? Because to me, that's not what this is about.
Well, that's good. We don't need any more restrictions. We don't need another lockdown. And I don't think any of us will take it ever again. So
exactly, but if that's the reason folk want Boris Johnson to go, do you not understand that's the wrong reason? Because it's opening the door up for this horrible cycle to continue.
No, because I think we've all learned a lot of lessons from this, and I think we all learned that it was completely out of proportion, the situation we were in, and not just Boris Johnson, but those in charge and the non-opposition party as well, all the same. They literally just treated us with utter contempt, and we will never go back there again, no matter who is running, whatever party, and who's in charge.
Rebecca Reid, where do you stand on this?
I was saying to these guys before, I just feel like narratively, whoever's leaking this needs some notes. So as a writer, you can't open with, they had a massive boozy party, and then say, and they had a cake. It's just hard to care about.
Later.
It's just really hard to care about the cake when you've heard about the party. I felt like they needed to invert that. So if it is Dominic Cummings, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is, Dom, some notes for you. But generally speaking, I think the problem is we're getting outrage fatigue. And I actually think in some ways, the fact that, apart from Dawn...
I'm angry.
Dawn is outraged.
I'm angry.
Dawn has got good stamina for outrage. I've got outrage fatigue. I think a lot of people have outrage fatigue. And I think in some ways the BBC might and Sky and all the other channels might be almost doing him a favour, because I think by next week we'll be so bored of this. And I can't do another year of police investigation, which, by the way, I think is purely to try and take the heat off the Met. I think Cressida Dick is going, oh, look over here. Don't think about all the things we've done this week.
Maybe this is Boris being clever. Maybe this is a double bluff, because let's face it, if the investigations could take another year, he's in power for another year.
My concern is...
Well, unless Tory MPs say, no, the report was bad enough. And look, we do... I know it's a cliché, Rebecca, but we actually genuinely do have to wait for this report, and the publication may come tomorrow.
I think my issue is, and I think I said this when we talked about this last week, I can't see anybody in the party who is better served, especially because I think there is a very real sense we might actually be going towards a war. I don't, like, if I had to have Liz Truss or Boris Johnson, I think I probably would still have Boris Johnson.
It's
At
not-
least he's read a lot of books about military history.
Rebecca, it's not a war, it's a gathering, OK? It's a gathering
It's
of
cheese and wine
100,000
and
people.
guns.
No one's invading anything, it's just a gathering, OK? Very similar to a party.
But Calvin, it is a very serious point, though, that there are much bigger fish to fry. And I think Tory MPs have to be very careful that they do not allow the mainstream media, the mainstream broadcast media, who, let's be honest, they should view the mainstream broadcast media as the enemy. If you're a Tory MP, and they're letting them drive the agenda.
No, they are, and I think the timing is very suspect, as are the motives and the evidence are all very suspect. And I think it could be the case that Boris Johnson is the only one at the moment holding us back from more lockdowns and more restrictions from the people that really want this.
Well, yeah, because at least Boris Johnson, who by the way, I think he did fluff the response to the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.